And so I put together this flashlight to help me focus on the interview. And I basically said, what are all the principles? So to me, they're called focus. Why? Because that's an abbreviation of all the stuff in there. And the number one thing they're focusing on is the customer obsession. They really wanted to be the world's, and now maybe the universe, at least maybe the local solar system, most customer obsessed organization. And that question came up in the last all hands with Jeff Bezos, and he said, yeah, maybe we'll expand it to the solar system. So they're really passionate about that, right? And the big thing though is that's fine, but you got to deliver results, right? So the light is what you can put together on the customer and say, here's the customer, what are the ones that I'm lighting, I'm flat, the light is shining on them. That's really what matters, right? And then the other thing there is the O for outcome, right? But there's a criteria in order to get there. Think big and high standards. Everything at Amazon has to be global, right? You can't have a solution that fits in New York. It has to be global. And they're willing to invest in that, right? So think big and have high standard. High standard means you're doing your best, right? It can't just be a good enough. It has to be the best you possibly can. And just the other day, we were looking at, so your SLA was 50.5. I see you come in at 49.8. What the heck happened, right? So they really take serious in terms of agreements to the nth degree there. And then the criteria then becomes kind of the, everything goes through there. But you also need to understand how everything hangs together, right? And that's the other ones in the middle here. There's a bias for action, right? That you need to get things done. Frugality to me means also the same as a deep dive, because in order to figure out how to save money and not waste, you need to figure out how everything hangs together. So it becomes a T, right? And that's a little T at the bottom there, AT, right? And learn and be curious is one, but the opposite of that is invent and simplify, right? Because if you're learning and figuring out things can hang together, then you're really inventing and making it simpler. It's the same thing. And then have a backbone and be right a lot. Those are two different things, but in the end, they're actually the same, right? I believe so. Well, why do you believe it? Because I think it's the right thing to do. So they're like the same thing there again. And so those ATL and B, backbone, kind of simplification in my mind, so I can remember it, are the things that make the company work. Its purpose is then to provide servant leadership. In my mind, like the ownership and earning trust to me is the same as servant leadership, right? Because if you own it and I have your trust, then you are getting value. Then I'm providing value to you, right? I'm not there for myself. I'm there because I'm helping others. And then, of course, everything is fueled, exclamation point, with hire and develop the best, because the more people you can put into this funnel, the more powerful your light will be. And so this then was something I wrote up before I got the job to really have this mental framework ready. So when the question came up, and it was super helpful, right? Because what they do in the questions is, so what have you done here that started out really nice, and then, okay, tell me more about this. And then they keep probing and probing and probing and probing. So it's like, how much more can I tell you about this? And then you start saying, wait a minute, where am I going? I need to get back here now. I need to get back to one of these things, right? And so you need to loop it back and hook it up back to, right? I was really good at earning trust. And that's really what this was about, right? Or, I went through this whole thing and we saved $1 million, right? So every answer has to come back here. But when you are pressured to do deep dive, those things can easily be forgotten. So if you have some place to hang your thoughts on, that was my framework.